Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. I'm Aisha, your host. Let's begin our series of exploring uncommon stories in the Quran by uncovering the story of Harut and Marut. Who were they and what was their story? Are there any parallels in the biblical tradition? Let's sit down with Dr. Shabir Ally and learn more. Welcome to the show, Dr. Shabir.
Pleasure to be on.
So we're starting our first story of uncommon stories in the Quran. We're talking about Harut and Marut. So give us a little bit of an intro on that.
Harut and Marut are two names that occur in the Quran, apparently the names of two angels who were sent to Babylon. And the Quran says that Solomon did not teach magic, but the Satans taught people magic. And whatever was revealed to these angels at Babylon. So what was revealed to the angels at Babylon? The Quran is very brief about this. The verse in question continues to say, and this is the 102nd verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, the second chapter of the Quran. It continues to say that before these angels taught anyone anything, they said to people, you should fear God and not, do things which would involve like disbelief of God. And people learned from these angels that which will separate a man from his wife. But this is not good for them to learn. They are not supposed to be delving into this area of knowledge.
So it sounds like these were angels, but they didn't normally, because we associate angels with teaching good messages. So it seems like the story is a bit reversed here.
Yes. So what exactly did the angels teach? Many of the classical commentaries on the Quran take it for granted that the angels taught magic, and then they try to think about, what kind of magic, different kinds of magic, and this is one of a lesser sort of magic. But to use the term magic in reference to what the angels taught here is stretching the verse a bit, because the verse does not specifically say that the angels taught magic. It's the Satans who taught magic and what has been revealed to the angels at Babylon. So it could be something other than magic, which was revealed to the angels at Babylon. So what could that be? Maybe there are some psychological tricks or things that could be said to cause enmity between people, and the knowledge itself is not bad. It's the kind of knowledge that we might describe in a seminar. We might say that in a seminar we might be mentioning something by way of illustration to say this is the kind of thing that you do not do because this will create this kind of negative effect. But once you mention that for the good purpose of turning people away from this, there may be somebody in your audience who might be saying, yeah, it sounds like a good idea, I ought to try that. So some people are inclined towards evil, and they will take the good thing that you say and bend it towards evil use. So this could have been what happened in the case of these angels at Babylon.
And do we know anything from the Hadith about the story, or is it specific to what we know from the Quran?
There are many reports about this in the Hadith narratives, but not one sound narrative that goes all the way back to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. There are narratives that go all the way up to the companions of the Prophet, and it seems that these narratives were derived from non-Muslim sources, from informers from other faiths. And some of the stories are very colorful, very interesting stories. They give human form to these angels at Babylon, and it is said that the angels in heaven looked at human beings and said to God, if we came down to earth, we wouldn't do the kinds of things that human beings are doing on earth. So God said, okay, here, take up the challenge. Who wants to go? So these two angels volunteered. They came down to earth, and then a beautiful woman appeared to them and said, okay, will you, they tried to have an affair with her, but she said, okay, these are my conditions. You have to drink wine and so on, and commit adultery and murder. But the angels naturally demurred. But eventually they drank the wine, and then had the affair with the woman and committed adultery. They did all the very things which they had pledged themselves not to do. This is the kind of story that is there, to the extent that it is said that one of the conditions that this lady put before them is that they should tell her the password for getting into heaven, and they gave her the password. So she used that to ascend into heaven, but God stopped her in her tracks, and she was turned into the planet Venus. And sometimes the stories have it that she was actually Venus initially, and she came down to Earth as a woman and then reascended as Venus. Sometimes the stories have it. See, there are different versions.
Yeah, I came across that one too online.
So one version has it that this lady said to them that, yes, I'm going to mate with you, but not on Earth due to my husband, so let's go do it in the sky. And so they went up with her in the sky. But once they had gone up there, they realized that their powers were cropped and their wings were no longer effective, and they fell to Earth. And eventually they were chained in a cave in Babylon. One story, even in one of the classical commentaries, has it that there was somebody in the court of one of the caliphs who could attest to the fact that he actually had gone to a cave in Babylon, and he found these angels there fettered.
Interesting.
And they had been there for centuries.
But obviously all of these there's stories, for lack of a better word, right? There's no link back to the Prophet.
To the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, no. And it is, on the one hand, humorous to read these stories, but on the other hand, it is a serious matter that classical Muslim commentators repeated these stories and treated some aspects of these stories to be true. So we have this all the way going back to At-Tabari, which is one of the greatest of our classical tafsirs. And it reminds us that we cannot just simply take everything that the classical scholars said, because they lived in a world in which they could easily accept that magic is happening all around them. There are all kinds of transformations, men becoming, this and that, and spirits becoming men, and angels becoming men, and dwelling among human beings, and mating with women, and this kind of thing. But we live in a very different world in which we are more attuned to science and technology and physical causation of things. And it is not possible for us to believe in these stories the way in which the classical scholars believed in them. And it's not only the story, it's the whole worldview that they had at the time. So the onus is on us now to think about our faith in a way that befits the psychology and the knowledge and learning that God has blessed us to have in our present time.
So when we talked about this series, we said let's look at sort of alignment or parallels with other biblical traditions or other religious scriptures. So do we know of anything further from sort of other traditions?
There are stories of fallen angels in the New Testament, in 2 Peter, and also in the book of Jude. There is also the most close parallel to this is the story of two fallen angels in the Talmud who are said to have been trapped in Babylon, and the Quranic story may be actually a reference to that Jewish version of the story that may have been known at the time when the Quran was being revealed.
So in light of the limited information that we have based on these parallels, what are some overarching lessons that you think Muslims can take away from it?
Well, the lessons from this, one is that not every bit of knowledge is good to have for everyone, and knowledge can be misused. So one has to pray as Muslims are taught to pray, "Oh God, give us knowledge which is beneficial." In fact, when Muslims go to perform the pilgrimage and they drink from the sacred from the well of Zamzam, they are believing that this water has curative properties. They pray for ilman nafi'a, the beneficial knowledge, and more generally, Muslims pray to God to give us benefit from the knowledge that we have, and give us beneficial knowledge. So we should seek beneficial knowledge and not misuse the good knowledge that God has given us.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Dr.
You're welcome.
Hey YouTube, we hope you benefited from this video. If you liked it, Or if you didn't, let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning more, check out some of our other videos. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.